Attention, please. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome, greetings and salutations once again, not necessarily in that order. Welcome to Common Ground with John Theillon. I am your host, the coach of communication and collectivism, the captain of collaboration and common ground. I'm also the mayor of Reeltown. Did you know that? I mean, it bears repeating. All that means, for those of you who may not be familiar with that nickname, I strive always to keep things as right down the line as possible. Truthful, not candy-coated, as real can be. And with some folks, that's a pill that doesn't go down very easily. With other people, I have to tell you, they crave it. So learn to crave, okay? I've been told that apparently I've been doing this sort of thing for more years and in more settings and scenarios, circumstances, and situations that I can remember. Radio, TV, cable TV, and local sales, regional sales, national sales, and even as a de facto general manager running the joint, so to speak. You know, when the bosses and the owners and all the, mokety-mokes were out, unavailable or away, I happen to be the guy that people would come to, for input, for ideas, for recommendations and suggestions. You know how that goes. Yeah. It's always, John, you got a minute? John, you got a minute? John, you got a minute? And I always have had a minute, and if not, I would say, give me a minute, and then I'll have a minute for your minute in a minute. Okay? Good. I guess I was the coach of communication and collectivism and the captain of collaboration and common ground, and I didn't even realize it. I had no idea, didn't even know it. The thing of it is, or was, that by talking about whatever's going on, as a group, even a group of two, mind you, whenever possible, the collaboration would get ramped up, the common ground meeting solutions, ideas, fixes, what have you, those things were achieved in a more effective and easier way than without it. Without the collectivism and collaboration and so forth. That made for, back then, going up through the years of my career, and will continue to do it now, for better days, weeks, months, quarters, and years. And it also made better every detail, every detour, every curveball and surprise that would come along with the daily, monthly, quarterly, yearly things. Personally, professionally, relationship-wise, individually, and most certainly collectively, it's all about common ground, folks. It really is. If you stop and think about it, it's all about that commonality. We just had a big, glaring, in my opinion, example of going for common ground and not necessarily getting it yesterday the way that maybe it should have been. I'll leave that to you to decide if it was good or not so good, or an A minus, a B plus, or a C minus, or a D plus, but I digress. Hey, by the way, we come to you each and every time from the studios of Hamilton Media's Hamilton Radio in, once again, beautiful greater metropolitan downtown Hamilton Township, New Jersey, of course. Just moments, if you will, just right that way, just right over there a little bit from the capital of Trenton. Now, I got to tell you, I do feel the need to wash when I go through Trenton sometimes, but that's another story. Hamilton Radio, it's an iHeart radio station, and it's also the flagship station for Common Ground with John Theillon, that's me, and for the Exceptional Radio Broadcast Network, that's the ERBN, for those of you from Chick-Shinny, Pennsylvania, for the absolute best in music, from outstanding independent artists. I have to tell you, there's some really great music that is not being heard elsewhere. It's Indie Artist Tuesdays every week on Hamilton Media's Hamilton Radio. And all the great sounds that make up literally the soundtrack of our lives. Think of it, from the doo-wop in the pre-British invasion stuff right up to recent, whether it's pop, country, jazz, R&B, oldies, 70s, 80s, 60s, 50s, the whole McGilla. It's really good. It's Hamilton Media's Hamilton Radio. Go to iHeart.com if you're not familiar. Go to iHeartRadio or iHeartRadio.com, I should say. Once you're there, do a search in the upper right-hand corner, if you will, for Hamilton Radio Oldies. That's the official designation that iHeart has provided. And you'll find it. Tune in, turn on, let it rip. Just set it and forget it. You know, kind of like a Ron Popeil thing. Set it and forget it. It's really Hamilton Media's Hamilton Radio. It's a great venue, music, entertainment, all on one fantastic platform. That's where we're coming to you from right now. There's going to be a lot of ground covered here, common ground, if you will, each and every show. And the info, insights, suggestions, recommendations, call them what you will. They're going to come from everywhere. From day-to-day happenings, from successful people in business and industry, current and going back, from current and former members of entertainment, you know, radio, TV, motion pictures, folks who've contributed positively. Maybe not always, but when they did, they made a dent. So the good stuff is always good, even if the knuckleheads are doing it, you know what I mean? From you. We want to hear from you, the listeners. Here's a way, okay? Email. Here's an email address, jcthee64@hotmail.com. Once again, jcthee64@hotmail.com. Keep those cards and letters coming, so to speak. Email them to jcthee64@hotmail.com. Or, you know what, look me up on Facebook. Can do that if you want. Look for John Common Ground Theillon, Theillon, by the way, and send me a Facebook message. Why not do it? Then, okay, as I get these things in, check the next show or two. We just may be talking about what you're talking about. It just might be featured, you know. We'll talk about stuff, too, that comes from the world of politics. We're not going to get into a whole lot of that today because I have a whole other agenda. Thank God, because I'm a little salty with what happened yesterday. But again, I digress. I'll leave that for you to determine if you're good with it or not. But we'll get into things, you know, that are common ground oriented, whether it be from local politics, regional politics, national, even worldwide politics, okay? And we're also going to get things, and there's some today, too, from the Bible. It's as simple as that. It's one of the best, if not the best, storybook, if you will, ever written that's more than just a storybook. It's filled with stories about pertinent stuff, pertinent things that folks can relate to. Now, here's the thing. I'm not here to bull rush, okay, like a bull in the china shop. I'm not here to bash this contingent or to knock whatever side of the aisle, at least not today anyway, okay? It may happen, but know that it probably is not going to be intentional. So that's with the politics. With the Bible, I'm not about jumping up on the stump and saying, listen to my beliefs. No. Your beliefs are your beliefs. I'll leave that to you, you know, the listener, because your beliefs are yours alone, period. But I'm going to reference things that are, again, here's the thing, common ground-ish, all right? In all forms, it's going to always be about communication and collectivism, the collaboration and the common ground. It's that simple. The being positive, upbeat, can-do, of good cheer. And that's whether it's Capitol Hill, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C., your state capital, your local government hub, or places like Jerusalem or Nazareth, Galilee, and Rome a couple of thousand years ago, or whatever else, even somewhat like it that might apply. Okay, as my junior year in high school teacher, government and history teacher, Mr. George Ludich used to say, okay, people, light workout today. We went long last week. We went about an hour and a half, and that's not what I'm looking to do on a regular basis. So let's keep it to as minimum as possible today. But we're going to get the thing done. I commit to about an hour, so we're going to keep it under. Here's something we all know. Something we've all heard countless times and times and times again, and that we've all benefited from, whether you know it or realize it or not. Even the Reader's Digest has a section devoted to it in each and every edition. Yeah, okay, with that in mind, I want to discuss the benefits of laughter. It's truly one of the best medicines. It really is. And one of the absolute best ways to achieve common ground. There it is. Serious. And it's as simple as that. There have been studies that tell us that people who laugh on a regular basis, every day, I should say, they're healthier. They live longer. They've got better relationships going, and they make better decisions. All these are benefits, folks, that come from laughter. Did you know that? Well, if you didn't, you do now. More on that coming. Plenty more. Tell you what, it's easy, pardon me, on the other hand, to just shove laughter aside. The older we get, the easier that becomes. We get so weighed down by pressures that come at us from every which way in our lives. It's true. We've all got stress to deal with. We've got bills to pay. We've got a family to take care of, kids to raise, deadlines at the office. Oh boy. If we're not careful, we oftentimes, without even knowing it, let everything come so intense, so dire, so serious, so pressured with all of that in mind that we seldom, if ever, laugh like we used to. It's like we don't have much, if any, fun like that anymore. We've become burdened by life coming at us and doing what life can do to us. I've known people who have had a good sense of humor, but they don't seem to have the same sense of humor that they used to anymore. Over the years, they become more and more sour. They become all work and no play. And you know how that saying goes, that makes Jack a dull boy, or Jacqueline a dull girl. It's as simple as that. Things can get serious and solemn, stern and profound, true enough. But were you aware that our actual bodies were never meant to live stressed? They weren't. They were never meant to live super, super seriously in an unpleasant and in an unfun way. Always are often irritated, aggravated, hacked off, ticked off, teed off, torqued off. No, sir. One of the best stress relievers that our creator, the boss, ever made, it's laughter. It really is. Period. Take it to the bank. Do not doubt me here. When you're good-natured, you take time to see the humor in the life that you lead, whatever that life may be. Busy, not so busy, stresses, pressures, or not as many. If you're easygoing, if you're good-natured, or can do that, you're going to make out better. Every day, it's like you're taking medicine with laughter, because laughter reduces things like blood pressure. Or as they say in China, blood pressure. Sorry. Not really. See, funny. Come on, it was funny. Laughter activates the body's natural tranquilizers. So, that's going to lower stress. That's going to also help to help you sleep better, okay? It strengthens our immune system as well. Did you know that? There are endorphins that are released that make us just feel better when we laugh. Not only that, laughter assists with healthy brain functions. Did you know that? When you laugh regularly, here's the thing. You are simply going to make better decisions. Hear that again. If you laugh regularly, you're going to make better decisions in your life. Yeah. Humor helps to stimulate the brain. Normally, we use our left sides of our brains. But when we laugh, that's using the right side, both in juxtaposition and correctness. Get that. Studies show that people who were having a hard time solving a problem, dealing with it for a long time and getting nowhere, they're stuck. They were stuck. And they probably weren't having any kind of fun or upbeat or something that would trigger a laugh. They didn't find a reason for laughter, and they've got a problem, and they're stuck. For some reason, they just can't laugh. Once they found a way, it stimulates the brain, and these folks who get stuck with a problem, they're much more able to solve problems. It's true. Bottom line is this. If you've got a sense of humor and you laugh regularly, yes, you, okay, you're going to be more creative. You're going to have fresh ideas, and you're going to be more effective in whatever you do. I work on laughing as much as I can, and all right, sometimes it can come off as, what the heck is up with him? And okay, so what? But whenever someone's looking for an idea, a creative way to put something, or something that's fun, funny, and that'll work to help attract people to items, opportunities, initiatives, events, or what have you, it's oftentimes me or someone like me that they come to. I don't say that to brag. I don't. No, I say it because it's the truth. It's been like this for a lot of years. And listen, I've said this before, I believe, too. It's not bragging if you can back it up. And it is absolutely the truth. If you talk to anybody who would ever know me and or has worked with me, and even a mildly creative setting, they're going to tell you that this is true. Laughter not only stimulates the brain, people, it also brings down walls. When you laugh with someone, their defenses come down. Did you ever notice that? I did that yesterday at the grocery store. There was a woman and her daughter, I don't know, she might have been 40, 45-ish, and her daughter was maybe 15, 16. And in the middle of the aisle, was her shop, not kind of off to the side, but toward the middle was her shopping cart, and she's looking at the various almonds and pistachios and walnuts and whatnot. And usually I just, excuse myself and go by. Happened to be a pole on the left side of the aisle. I couldn't get through, so I just waited. I mean, what do I have to do? Okay, so I waited a minute. She spotted me out of her peripheral vision, and she said, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I'm like, "Nope. You got to make sure the nuts are right." A little double entendre without, realizing it at first, but it's what I do. She cracked a big old smile and started giggling, and her daughter was like, "Oh," and all of a sudden, there's no problem. She thought, pardon me, she thought that she was in the way. Well, yeah, she was, but so what? She's a total stranger. But it opened her right up. And that's the ticket. You can be around people who were. I've done it. I did it over here, picking up a bottle of water at the Circle Deli here, right off of 206. A guy was in there, and we made some little one-line little jokes. I don't know this guy, but all of a sudden, I and the proprietor of the store and this fella, we're just happy. We're happy. That's why not. When you do stuff like that, it tears down people's defenses, whether you know them or not. People will be more apt to hear you and to understand what you've got to say. This is why I often incorporate something witty, fun, funny, and what have you as often as possible. Now, not inappropriately, especially in business, but even if it's a quick little hit, little pow, okay? People are receptive to it. For the funniest words you can use, for example, in many settings are something to the effect of, "That's what she said," or "That's what he said." It's all about the timing and the positioning, okay? It can be from the real suggestive to the real ridiculous, and it'll make people laugh either way. You just have to know your audience. I know of a guy, speaking of an audience, he's a minister's son, okay? And they've got a big church down in Texas, Houston area, I believe. They would televise the services due to them having a low-power local TV station, okay? At any rate, when he was growing up, he's about my age, maybe a year or two older, but when he was growing up, every year, he and his family, at Christmas time, they'd set up a big deal down at the local hotel, the big ballroom. And they'd have 1,000 or so people from their church attending this thing, like a holiday banquet, a Christmas banquet. The highlight every year was when they would show a 10, 15-minute video recap of things that happened at the church throughout the year. Because, again, they had the cameras rolling, and they had footage of stuff that didn't necessarily go to air. So, remember, they were in and all about church. And for the telecasts, once again, they'd have the cameras going, of course. They'd catch people nodding off to sleep, yawning. So they'd find some of that footage and put it in slow motion and put some dramatic music under it. Funny, okay? They would edit his dad, the minister at the time, edit his words to make him say funny things, or they might edit his hand or his body motion to make him look like a rap artist because he's doing this 3-4 times in a row. Let me tell you what. If anything, I don't believe his father was even knew what rap music would have been. Point is, it was 10 to 15 minutes of total laughter. When they showed it, what would end up happening is the crew from the hotel, the cooks, the servers, the bus boys, they would come out and they'd line up around the walls toward the back of the room and they would watch. I have to think that everybody in the place, in the room and outside of the room, was hearing all this laughter, because you figure about 1,100 people laughing, that's going to make a little bit of a racket in a good way, you know? So they would prop the doors open to the ballroom too, so that other people could come and see and hear and laugh, you see, all right? There'd be 100 people or more from out in the hotel, along with, you know, the staff, who would come in and watch this blooper reel. What's the point? Laughter draws people in, draws people to you. Laughter is attractive. Humor is attractive. Why do you always hear, you know, for example, when women say, well, yeah, you know, I like a fellow who's accomplished and who has goals, but that's nice, but I really even more so want a fellow who's going to make me smile, who's going to make me laugh, who's just a good guy and has a humorous bent about him. Hello? Why not? Okay? Interesting to know, one of the longest running shows on TV is a blooper show. It's America's Funniest Home Videos. This is, of course, where people send in their funny home videos and they get played on the program, and you know, the funniest one of the week gets a prize, all right? That show started off as a special 33 years ago, okay? Actually, 35 years ago. Now I'm redoing my math in my head, because that was a special back in 1987. In 1980, no, I beg your pardon, it was 89. It was 89. The next year, in 1990, it debuted as a regular weekly series. And it's been on ever since, from Bob Saget to the guy that played Carlton from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I forget his name, but he can be kind of funny. The thing goes on every year, year after year after year, while these other shows that are more polished, more serious, you know, more dramatic and more topical or what have you, they come and they go. This Is Us. I'll use that as an example. Great show. It was on for 6 years, and then it was done. It ran its course, and that was the end of it. This thing's been going for 33 years. Okay? What? Same thing with The Simpsons or Family Guy. Now, whether you like or watch those shows or not, I will say this. The dialogue, the scripts, they are very well written. You just have to pay attention and get beyond the fact that it's an animated cartoon type of show. So many people can't do that. All they see is, donuts, is there nothing they can't do, out of Homer Simpson. Or they,
pardon me, Lois, it's Peter Griffin, your husband, the cardiac resuscitation specialist.
and that's all they see. That's all they see. It's just something dopey and goofy. Yeah, there's that. But it's well written. They are both well written, and they've remained a part of the funny landscape also since the late 80s. The Simpsons started as a short piece on the Tracy Ullman Show back in 1987. That's the one started in 87. There you go. And then 2 years later, they had their own show, and it's been going since then, since 1989. You know, Family Guy. It started in, I think, either 99 or 2000. After the third year, in 2002, canceled. What do you mean, John? You just talked about longevity. Here's the thing. The first 3 years, once it got canceled, they put them on DVD. The DVD sales were so humongously robust that Fox came back to Seth MacFarlane and said, hey, can we relight this candle again, because things are going really well with the DVD sales. So they revived it. They brought it back for the 05 season. It's been on ever since, okay? Funny is funny, period. Funny is funny. You need to pay attention, once again, to the dialogue. and not the fact that it's an animated cartoon-looking thing. Back to America's Funniest Home Videos. This simple, every family type of show that makes people laugh continues. Again, 33 years and still going, okay? 33. I was in my 20s, okay? Laughter is always found and also found and portrayed as a good thing in the Bible. Here it is. In Psalms, for example, it says, when we were filled with, I'm going to read this one for you. When we were filled with laughter, the other nations took notice, and they said, what amazing things God has done for them. Whoa. When you're filled with laughter, other people are going to take notice. It not only honors God to live in a happy, upbeat, fun way, but while being down and sour or stuff like that, it keeps people away. Laughter can, will, and does cause other people to be drawn to you. Come on, have a laugh. That being drawn to one another, good people to good people, happy people to happy people, loving, thoughtful, caring people to other loving, thoughtful, caring people. This makes a solid foundation, super solid for true friendships or, ready, common ground. Ha! Deal with that. There's entirely too much sadness and negativity. And I mentioned that last time on our last visit. There's just too much of that in the world today. I think maybe it's been that way all along in just whatever, current form of the day. But there's just too many folks have lost the joy of living. They've been beaten down by life's burdens, and life can beat you down to your knees and keep you there if you let it, said Rocky Balboa. Now and then as people, we need to learn how to take the beating, the proverbial beating, if you will. Okay, you just got to learn to take it a little bit, okay? Then you get up, you keep going, and you keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. That's how the boss wants us to do it. I'm convinced. Without coming off as syrupy sweet, whenever possible, we really ought to make it our business to bring laughter, happiness, and some version of joy wherever we go. It's really as simple as that. It really is. Believe me when I tell you, if you're anyone worth half your salt, you know this. There are more than enough sour people out there in our neighborhoods, our towns, our cities, our counties, our states, wherever it is we live. What would be the better thing to do, once again, is going for the upbeat, the positive, the can-do, the stuff that's going to make you be of good cheer. In the crowd of all the low information, ill-informed Debbie and Donnie Downers, the must be nice people, the sour, dour, negative glass half empty folks, it's real simple. Just be happy about things instead. Do it. Trust me. You'll thank me. Be fun to be around. Let other people hear not only your laughter, but our laughter. There's inherent power in laughter. Did you know that? Thanks again to the boss. When that joy comes bubbling out of you, okay, in the form of laughter or something fun, the accompanying laughter can break the awful bindings that are the foundational elements, if you will, of others' depression, their sadness, their despair, even hopelessness. It's not always easy to break those chains. It's not, because there's some heavy-ass chains sometimes when people are really down. I read about this rehab facility. There were patients there who had been there for some of them for quite a long time, and a particular group of folks were having a difficult time recovering. So for whatever reason, finally it was decided that every day some of the staff would take these patients, the ones having difficulty, out to a nearby park, okay, for a few hours to watch the kids play, the children, The purpose was not only to get them into a different environment, get them out of the building, so to speak, but they discovered when these patients heard the children laughing over and over and over and seeing them having fun at the same time, that stimulated their collective bodies, plural, natural healing process. Believe it or not, but please believe it. In a really reasonable amount of time, folks, these patients' attitudes were changed. Quantum leap. They've got their joy back. Okay? The research began to show that they were recovering quicker. Imagine what happens on the inside of us when we live with a bunch of joy inside of us, when we take time to laugh every day. It not only affects us mentally, any stormy moods can clear up. Our creativity, our thoughts, they're just brighter. It even affects us physically. Yeah, of course. Did you know laughter can help you stay young? Every time you laugh, what's known as the youth hormone increases by 87%. That's significant. This is the hormone that slows down the aging process, or in Canada, process, or is it Canada? I can never figure it out because they're Canadian. At any rate, this is the hormone, the youth hormone, that slows down the aging process and keeps us fresher, feeling younger. I mean, you're going to age, that's just nature, but you don't have to be all about it. You know, hey, do I look 58? I don't think I do. 57 maybe, but not 58. See? Ha-ha. When you see people who've gone through a hard time, a larger than usual amount of stress, a lot of pressure, you know, and you see them doing their thing. And then maybe you don't see them around for a couple few years, you know. And then when you see them again, whoa, it looks like they had aged 15, 20 years. Why is that? When we don't laugh, we don't release the natural healing mechanisms that, again, our creator, the boss, put inside of us. I know, I worked with a gal out in Pennsylvania. She managed a piece of the business that there were several pieces of business that in hospitality and food service that were part of the company where I worked. And she was manager of one of the hospitality venues. Beautiful, beautiful woman. And I don't know, maybe a couple years younger than me. I hadn't seen her. I had moved, you know, or whatever. I hadn't seen her in a bunch of years. Bumped into her about 4 or 5 years ago in an event. Oh my goodness. It literally looked as if it was, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 years since I'd seen her. It looked like it was like 15, 20 years had elapsed on her. Just the wrinkles and the crow's feet and just... She didn't look happy. She faked it because she was happy to see me, and I was happy to see her. But I got to tell you, she looked, I don't know, 52, 50, 52, going on 75. I've got to tell you, just wow. And I know that a lot of her day-to-day stuff was not always thumbs up all the way. Anyway, when we go around stressed, you know, all down, solemn, discouraged. The chemicals that God designed to keep us young, to lower our blood pressure, to stimulate our immune system, they just sit around within us unused and ineffective. Here, check this out. Relative to these healing elements, the chemicals, the mechanisms, we truly have everything that we need at our disposal to make this stuff work. We just do. Yes. Living healthy and whole is a very good thing, but we've got to tap into this naturally occurring healing thing that goes on, these abilities that we have. A vitally important way to do this is laughter. Being good-natured, fun to be around, and seeing humor in life. Some of you today, you've lost your joy. You really have. I mean, think about it. This is not a shot or a dig or a zing or anything like it, but think about it. Some of you out there today, you kind of lost your joy. Maybe a little, maybe a lot, maybe someplace in between. Or as I've also put it, you've lost that childlike wonderment that we all had when we were younger, when we were small. You've gotten out of balance and you're so focused on your problems and you've got so much stress going on, you haven't laughed in a long time. And I mean really laughed, a belly laugh so robust that it starts to hurt a little bit, but it's a good hurt. You remember that? Remember that? Goofing around with your pals when you were, I don't know, 8, 10, 12, 15 years old. Hey, come on. Your smile maybe is getting a little rusty too, if you will. Come on, trot that smile out. Do it, you know. Dust it off every day on purpose. Find a reason to laugh. If you're like me, first thing in the morning, go ahead. Go look in the mirror. That may just give you a good reason to giggle. Now, not so much right now because my hair's kind of short, but back when I was in college, I'd get out of the rack in the morning and my hair would just be, what? And some of my fraternity brothers would be like, "Ooh, wow, you look like the heat miser, man." The only thing missing was I didn't have red hair, but it was right. And I'd look in the mirror and I'd just start to chuckle, man, I do look like the damn heat miser. Okay, look in the mirror first thing in the morning. You just might giggle. Our immune system, and I didn't know if you knew this as well, it's made up, not to sound like Carl Sagan here, but it's made up of millions and millions of cells, okay? Some of these cells, their only purpose is to attack and kill anything forming in our bodies like bacteria, viruses, bad things going on. These are called the natural killer cells. Killer. But the research shows that every person develops abnormal cancerous cells as well. Every day, every week, basically. These natural killer cells, however, they go to work and they make sure that those bad cells, those cancerous cells, are destroyed. Now, I know there are people who have inherent issues with that, and it's not like this chapter and verse for everybody. That's just life. I get it. But as more of the rule rather than the exception, these natural killer cells are on the job, okay? And even with people who do come down with forms of cancers, there are ways, to attack them. And incorporating laughter into the overall attack is also a good idea, I'm saying, okay? Things like, emotions like fear and anxiety, depression, hopelessness, and so forth, they can tamp down these natural killer cells, reducing their effectiveness. What's also interesting is that studies show as well that people who are happier, who laugh regularly, not only have more natural killer cells, but these cells' activity increased. They're upped, which is good. In other words, when you've got a sense of humor, when you're good-natured, your immune system, your natural killer cells are going to function at their highest level. That's what it means in the Bible when it says, cheerful mind works on healing. The broken spirit dries it up, and the door to sickness and disease is then opened. Don't open that door to sickness and disease. Cheerful mind. The cheerful mind works on healing. Some of you with a more cheerful mind would see your health and your healing improve. The blood pressure, once again, would come down if you've got a problem with BP. You'd sleep better if you'd simply start to laugh a little more, maybe more than a little more. More often, laughter is as powerful as many, many, many pharmaceutical prescriptions. And I'm here to tell you, it's a ton less expensive, too. It's no charge. None whatsoever. And P.S., there are no negative side effects. You've seen those commercials. You may have trouble breathing. You may feel nausea or have to vomit. And it also includes up to and including death. Wait, what? No, I'm not taking that. Laughter has none of that. It's no charge, absolutely free. You've already got it in you someplace. No side effects. No negative side effects. None. Zero. Zip. Zilch. Nada. Okay? Listen, it's that time of year all of a sudden, too. It's, mid-November-ish almost. It's that time of year when the healthcare plans are up for renewal. You've seen the commercials with Joe Namath, William Shatner, William Devane, Jimmy J.J. Walker reminding us that you could get money on your Social Security check, too. And, the annual enrollment period is here. It could be Medicare. It could be regular health care out on the marketplace. It could be the plan you may have even where you work through your employer. Whether you're for or against any of it, all of it, some of it, a little bit of it, you can save yourself some money. Again, a little laughter goes a long, or more than a little laughter, goes a long way. Every time we laugh, healing is released. I can't say this enough. Healing is released in our system. Our immune system gets better and better, okay? It just does. And it's no wonder that the enemy hates to hear us laugh. You know, when we laugh, we're getting stronger. The enemy doesn't like that. No, no, no. We're getting stronger. We feel younger. We feel healthier. We're thinking smarter, more clearly, cogently, lucidly, and more creatively. Favor and blessings are flowing through your system, our system, my system. It's just as simple as that, and you can take that to the bank. Let me break real quick. I want to tell you about a couple things here at Hamilton Radio. What goes on here, again, is some great music. It's Hamilton Radio on iHeart. Go to iHeart.com and do a search for Hamilton Radio Oldies. Also, voiceover opportunities. Folks, if you know, if you have some project, or you know of somebody who's got a project in radio, TV, maybe a corporate video, an instructional video, motion pictures, documentary that needs voiceover work, Hamilton Radio can help. Hamilton Radio can help. Reach out, send an email with the subject line, voiceover needed. Voiceover needed in the subject line. Send that to admin@hamiltonradio.net. Admin, ADMIN, at hamiltonradio, all one word, .net. One more time, admin@hamiltonradio.net. Now, a brief timeout for a little aqua fresca. Okay, and we're back. See, it was a brief timeout. Check it out. Medical science is catching on more and more every day, every week, every month, every year to the benefits of laughter. More and more. Again, they're catching on more and more all the time. There's something called the humor in the hospital movement. This is where hospitals are bringing programs in to get people laughing. In all seriousness, this is true. They know that the more people laugh, the better they're going to recover. A children's hospital in another state, I'm in Jersey, and this is a place not in New Jersey. The children's hospital, they've put together their own humor and fun staff. They go up and down the halls making the kids who are there at the hospital laugh. They're finding, get this, they're finding that these children at this hospital are recovering a whole lot notably quicker than in other similar places. Why? Because when we laugh, we release the healing that once again our Creator, the boss, has put inside of us. The thing is, all we need to do is access it, and too many people don't know how or are reluctant to, and I don't know why. Okay, I hear you. Not all of us are inherently wired to so often be yucking it up. Okay, I get it. I get it. So you may think something to the effect of, well, that's not my personality. I'm not like you. I'm more serious, I'm more dignified, and more intense. Okay. Understood. Duly noted. I understand that people are made differently. I do. But what has happened is that so often we have forgotten to live like we used to, like when we were kids, when we were children. You know, at recess on the playground, on the weekend playing ball or riding bikes. We all used to laugh about anything and everything when we were, I don't know, I'm just going to say elementary school age, even junior high and high school age. But now, we just make it too easy to let every little stress of life weigh us down. I'm going to go back to what I said a little earlier about childlike wonderment. A dear friend of mine and I discussed this a while back, and we each came to our own conclusion, similar conclusion, that a certain, perhaps varying amount of childlike wonderment is an absolute must. Every healthy adult needs to have a child, so to speak, on the inside. Think about children. They love to play. They love to laugh. They love to have fun. They're good-natured. Once in a while, you get a little urchin who's a royal pain. Okay, but you can usually coax the laughter and the fun out of them too, because again, they're small, SM all, okay? Don't lose the child that's inside of you. I read that a common ingredient in people who live into their 90s wasn't their diet, wasn't some exercise program or routine that they were on. It was the fact that they're extremely joyful folks. That's it. That's it. They never forgot how to laugh at things. All right, let me go back to my minister son, my minister friend, okay, the son who's now the minister at that church that we were talking about. And so after a Sunday service, not too long back, he met a fellow in the lobby, after you go out and you say hello. This guy's 106 years old, 106. Evidently, he looked 30, maybe 40 years younger than that. He was so happy. His mind was so sharp. He stood in line for about 40, 45 minutes waiting to visit with my buddy, okay? And when the man got there, the minister said, I'm so sorry. You didn't need to stand there so long. We could have gotten you a chair. You could have sat down, to which the older gent said, I don't need to sit down. When I get old, I'll sit down. Now, he happened to be a black fellow, and there's a reason I say that, okay? But 106 years old, just as handsome as could be. He didn't have one wrinkle on his face at 106 years old. The minister, my guy, he's about, in his 50s, maybe mid to late 50s, by the way, said, I don't believe that you are 106 years old. You look like maybe, at most, 68 to 70. The man smiled, kind of chuckled, and said, well, black don't cry. And when he left, he turned around and said to the whole group, hey, see you again next time. Just as happy as could be. And everybody was, especially, my minister guy, he was like, no wonder he's so healthy. He's full of joy. He loves each day, it seems. If a 106-year-old has a great sense of humor, you've got to think there's been a lot of healing going on and released in him over all those years. Now, all right, I realize that we're all likely to get old, and to do so is a privilege, by the way. Some people don't get that privilege. I understand that too. But to me, I don't want to be a grouchy old guy. Honestly, I did enough of that as a younger guy. Don't ask me why. What for? To get a rise out of someone? Yeah, I did that. Just to be contrary? Yeah, I did that too. Sure, I could get more sour and more grouchy and grumpy the older I get. And, with Father Time not playing fairly, some would say, you got every right to be hacked off, bent out of shape with your nose out of joint. Well, I'm not going to do that. But I do know that that's a real thing, okay? I'm thinking I'm going to work on being more like the 106-year-old fellow, stay full of joy. Even when I get into my 80s and 90s, I'm still going to have a smile. I'm still going to have fun. I'm still going to be telling jokes, and they're going to be good. Trust me. Just come see me in about 30, 40 years, okay? They'll make people laugh. I'm telling you, genuinely laugh. Look, I'm not going to lose the child on the inside here or my childlike wonderment. I'm just not going to. I'm the guy, I like the moon. My father always used to say when I was a little being able to be carried boy, he would say, hey, see the moon up there? I'd be like, whoa, wow, okay. And I still do that. I'll sit, like the other night, I stood outside coming in, it was dark, and there's the big old moon coming up. And I was just like, wow. Again, childlike wonderment, okay? Sometimes I think that the older we get, the more somber we're supposed to be and the less fun we ought to have. False. To me, age has its privileges, and one of those privileges is the right, actually the obligation to be even more positive, more upbeat, more of good cheer than ever before. Be more on the stick, more on the ball, relative to going for that common ground. Once again, in the Bible, okay, it says that we're to finish our course with joy. If you don't have joy, you're not making the most out of every day. Also, even as older people, if you don't take time to play a little bit, you're not going to finish your course. You're not going to fulfill your true destiny. Here's another thing. Just because our physical bodies get older doesn't mean that's not our fault. I watch football, okay? whether it's in person sometimes or on TV or what. And in my mind, because I played football, I'm playing one of my old positions, either right offensive tackle or on the defensive line. And as I'm watching, I really want to be out there on the field, blocking, hitting, tackling, all of it. Then I think about dishing out and taking that pounding until like I did until I was about 47, almost 48 years of age. So now, a couple years shy of 60, I'm glad to no longer actually be playing on the field of honor. I miss it desperately, but I'm glad to let somebody else do it, okay, to be on the gridiron doing their thing. Let the younger guys do it, you know what I mean? In our attitudes, there are also times when we have to get older as well. Back in my 30s, there was a guy where I used to go to work out at the gym all the time, to lift and to stay in football shape. Especially during the off season. He was 83 years old, okay? And he too, he was just as happy and fun to be around as anybody could be. He acted like he was my age, like, early mid-30s. One day I asked him, how do you stay so young? He said, I don't think old. I don't think of myself as being old. I don't think of being in my 70s or 80s or what. I believe inside I'm in my 20s still. You see, your spirit person, the real you that lives on the inside, is ageless. Ageless, folks. It lives forever. We're the ones that talk ourselves into being old, sour, and grouchy. I think about my dad. He lived to be over 91 years old, but some years back, when he was in his 70s, we'd be walking someplace, maybe in the mall or on the way to the local July 4th celebration or what have you, He would see somebody maybe in their 50s, and without a pause, he'd say, hey, look at that old guy. And I'd say, Dad, I'm thinking he's about 20, 25 years younger than you. Well, apparently, Dad was still younger in his mind. A buddy of mine's dad was a very responsible person, very responsible. Seriously responsible. But in his own way, he loved to have fun too. He'd go up to somebody, usually another of our knucklehead friends from the neighborhood. Somebody would come around, and he'd do this very dramatically. He'd put his hand on their shoulder. He did it to me. Put his hand on his shoulder, and he would say very seriously, I've been meaning to speak with you. I have something on you. All of a sudden, they would get these big eyes like, what did he, oh boy, what did he see? And they get real nervous. Again, their eyes would get real big, and they'd ask, what do you mean? And with a smile, my friend's dad would say, it's my hand. Another good friend, and he would laugh. And so would my buddy. Another good friend of mine's dad, for years, carried around a little card in his wallet that someone had given him at some point. One of his favorite things to do. I mean, you talk about corny dad jokes, but you know what? Why not? He would go up to someone with a big smile and say, hey, want to see my pride and joy? He would make him believe, of course, that he was a beautiful picture of one of his kids or something, He would play it up real big, get him anticipating this award-winning photograph. He'd ask again, you want to see my pride and joy? He'd finally whip out this little card that said, Pride Furniture Polish. Enjoy. So he would say, see, that's my pride and joy. Yeah. He was having fun. Stuff like this is why I can be so corny today. My son, who's now a father of 1-year-old twin boys, I do the corny dad stuff from time to time, not as much as I used to, because all he does anymore, he doesn't laugh. He's heard it all. He'll just roll his eyes, okay? Again, he's heard them all, or so he thinks. What he's about to not understand, he's going to hear them all again and then some, because when those little guys, my little grandsons, are just a little bit older, and can process fun, funny, and humor, I'll have a whole new audience to make laugh. You need to retrain yourself, folks. You need to retrain yourself to have fun. Why not? You need to retrain yourself to see humor in anything, in so many things, and you need to relearn to laugh. I know that people have got to work and do their things and be adults and so forth. I do. But there could be so much stress and so many bills to pay, even if you're not working. Do you or will you feel good about the stress in your life? No, you won't. So laugh. Quick little break once again about our friends at Hamilton Media's Hamilton Radio once again. Do you do a podcast? A show of some sort, a podcast show? Do you have something that you do? Do you know somebody who does? Are you looking, or you think they'd be looking for some big exposure? We're lining things up to put new shows and podcasts and their hosts together here on Hamilton Radio, here at the Hamilton Media Hub. So it could be about anything. It could be about sports. It could be about paranormal. It could be about being a foodie, cooking, hobbies, travel. We've even got a podcast going about professional wrestling, and pretty much name it. I mean, if it's a topic that people are into, if you or someone you know has a podcast or would like to do one, have been thinking, I can do that, we just may be able to help, and we're looking for you. Once again, email admin@hamiltonradio.net. Again, admin@hamiltonradio.net. All right? Subject line, podcast opportunity. There you go. Podcast opportunity in the subject line to admin@hamiltonradio.net. Okay. Now, getting down, coming around the clubhouse turn here, heading for home. Let me do this. Let me give you official permission, if you will. And this could go on your permanent record. Not really. Let me give you official permission to have fun and enjoy your life. You need to start taking a dose of this laughter medicine. Not every month, not every week, but every day. We really ought to find something to laugh about. You may have a very serious job. I get that. But you can still be good-natured. I've had a lot of responsibility, too, through the years, but I like to have fun also. Even doing what I've done, I like to laugh, even when things go sideways or not exactly the way I wanted, envisioned, or what have you. The best thing to do when it's all said and done is to laugh about it. A while back, I was working for a national broadcast radio, TV, and cable TV company. We had a managers meeting at one point at a facility, a nice big resort facility just north of Atlanta. I was in a hotel room and all alone by myself early in the morning, and I ordered breakfast. So they brought it in on a cart, a rolling table, with wheels. After I was done, I wanted to put it out in the hall so I'd have more room in my room. And at this point, I was wearing a scraggly pair of gym shorts that I would sleep in. That's it, nothing else. I used to call them my church shorts because they were holy, super comfy, but there are all sorts of worn out holes that left little to nothing to the imagination, but I loved them. So I opened the door, looked out in the hall, didn't see anybody, got it out in the hall, and just as I get the cart out there, boom, the door closes. Those automatically closing, locking doors. So I'm looking down the hall. I see a maid's cart, a service cart with the towels and so forth. So I run down there, and I'm in my holy shorts. Great, swell, wonderful. I get a towel, and I put it around me because, again, it's those shorts with holes that leave nothing to the imagination at some points. Chambermaid comes out, and I said, listen, can you help me out? I locked myself out. She says, I can't get you in without ID. I thought, my ID's in the room. Look at me. A couple times going back and forth in this, she finally agrees to do the thing, get me back in the room. And she looks me up and down and says, boy, you should be on TV. And I said, yeah, but I think I should be wearing more than my TV-worthy clothes, more TV-worthy clothes than my holy shorts here. Holy shorts is how I said it. I actually got more a laugh out of it than she did because, well, I just did. I say all of this because the secure person can laugh at themselves. When you're secure, you can laugh. You can do, even when you do something dopey. People who are insecure, they'll get bent out of shape. They'll get their noses out of joint. They'll blame the world or the universe for whatever has come at them. Sometimes, listen, the cosmic conspiracy can seem very real, believe me, okay? But upon further review, 99 times out of 100, it's just stuff that happens. Cool out. Take a breath. Or as I've said before, like you or whomever else around you, if you feel like ranting and raving, you got 5 minutes. Set your countdown timer on your cell phone for 5 minutes. Once it hits all zeros, you're done. Put it in the rearview mirror. Plus, when you do stuff like that, people will see how you act, react, interact, counteract relative to being able to laugh at yourself. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Again, every time you laugh, healing is shot through your body. You're getting stronger, feeling younger and healthier. I'm asking you to start really taking a dose of this laughter medicine. The prescription is for us to get some laughter 4 times a day, at least every 6 hours. You should be very careful to follow these instructions too, even if we have to get up at 2 in the morning. Hey, why not? Come on, you're probably up using the bathroom anyway. Think of something funny while you're doing it. At any rate, I'm giving you a prescription, not from a doctor, but from our Creator. He says, stay full of joy, laugh every day, be good-natured, okay? It's as simple as that. I'm just trying to think, there's so much to say about this, but I could go on and on and on. I'm talking about a lifestyle, developing it, that you can see humor in your everyday life. Laugh with your spouse, with your person, with your family, with your kids, your neighbors, your colleagues, with whomever. Again, develop the lifestyle that sees humor in everything you do, okay? I'm here to tell you that this has so much to do with attaining that common ground personally, professionally, mentally, emotionally, and attitudinally, more than you'd think it would, but it does. Okay? Once again, take that to the bank. Do not doubt me for 1 nanosecond. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. Once again, not by wishing you a good day, because I like to guarantee you a good forever. Just do the things I've outlined once again. Laugh. Do that, and it's a stone cold lead pipe lock, a cinch that you're going to feel better, feel younger, and all that goes with it. By these things I stand, you should too. That's all of it. Give the week your best shot. I'm going to slide on out of here for now. Thank you once again. God bless you. And until next time, this is Common Ground with John Theillon. So long.